What's up everyone? Welcome to Crypto Maximalist. Before we begin, make sure to hit the like and subscribe and then hit the real subscribe button, which is the bell icon. We're posting 4 videos every day, so make sure to check back every single day. We're aiming for 20k subscribers and get a deal in the description if you haven't already. This is not financial advice. Welcome to Crypto Maximalist. Let's begin. What's up guys, so just before we begin, make sure to hit the subscribe and bell icon. People aren't seeing our content and that's probably because you haven't hit the bell. Thank you again for all your support. We're so proud of the amazing community that we've built. What's up guys, so we're just taking a sponsored look at Trias here. We don't do sponsored posts very often, but we really do strongly think that Trias is a top quality project. It's a fully legit project and we do really think that it's going to do very well in the future, considering what we've been looking at. So we're just going to take a look at it today and see what you think. I've actually wrote down some notes about the fundamentals, which I think are really strong here. So I'm just going to go through this and basically give you a little bit of a lowdown about the fundamentals. This is a very in-depth and complicated project. So I will link down in the description below some more resources if you're interested in learning a bit more about it. But basically what we're looking at here, Trias has got an extremely strong team. It's basically got over 70 members. Many of them have PhDs working on the technology. 14 years in the making, recently brought about to the crypto space. So basically, they were working on this project for a long time, but they recently converted it over to the crypto space because they felt like the cryptocurrency was the future, which is, completely legitimate claim, considering, how fast we are moving in that direction now. They basically have over 40 computer science patents about their technology as well, which is very obviously showing the full legitimacy of the project. And, a lot of other crypto projects like Cardano, for example, have all done very well with this scientific approach because it shows a lot of methodology and basically shows a lot of commitment to the project, basically a massive amount of time and money and, a lot of research invested into it. So you can see they've also got a really good relationship with the Chinese government, which is obviously a very rare occurrence in crypto, considering their stance recently on Bitcoin mining, etc. So a bit more about the protocol. Trias is an incredibly and in-depth protocol that would require, a long time, as I said, to go into. But it's basically a very powerful platform that has a lot of different layers to it. It's essentially a super intelligent smart contract platform or development framework that is compatible with all platforms like PC, mobile servers, iOS, etc., where users can create smart contracts across chains and services. So that in itself doesn't sound too interesting, but once you actually get into the real nitty-gritty of why Trias is so interesting, you'll realize that this is actually a very powerful protocol. So the main focus of Trias is its -1 layer machine learning, which essentially is leveraging a consensus mechanism, for privacy and confirmation. Instead, it uses its trusted execution environment, or TEE, which can allow for anonymous and private transactions or decentralized identity confirmation. The best part is that Trias can do this across any chain with any token. It's not a privacy token in itself, but instead an underlying infrastructure that can be used in combination with other public blockchains to create anonymous and private transactions through the Trias network. So basically, this doesn't sound like that big of a deal when you first hear it, but because obviously most ledgers are public, so basically if anyone has your wallet address, they can see exactly what you're doing basically. And safety is not necessarily assured if people know a little bit about you and your wallet address, etc. And you can basically swap any token on the blockchain, on any blockchain anonymously through the Trias network, which is actually really powerful. For example, if you go onto a DEX, you could swap Bitcoin for Ethereum, and basically what happens is it goes through the Trias network, and then they'll convert it inside of the trusted execution environment, which is basically completely anonymous. So whatever transaction you do inside of that environment will essentially be completely anonymous. No one will be able to know what you did because it's basically completely locked up. No one can see it, which is a really powerful tool. When you think about going into the future where potentially, hundreds of millions or billions of people are going to be using crypto, this kind of stuff is going to potentially be really important, for protecting people's identity, potentially their safety if they have a lot of cryptocurrency, for example. So it's a really, interesting and not to mention, very powerful tool that could potentially, have a massive amount of impact in the future if this does get full adoption. Could be very, this could become a very interesting tool indeed, because this is something that I've not really seen at all in the cryptocurrency space, which is why I found this so interesting and why I decided to do this video essentially. So the second layer of their protocol, Prometh, is even more interesting to me, to be honest, because obviously recently we've seen a lot of projects where there've been a lot of exploits and not to mention, hacks, etc. Lots of lost funds. People, there was recently that $600 million lost from that DeFi app. And it's quite clear, that there's a big problem with unverified code or just, vulnerabilities in certain cryptocurrency networks that are leading to big problems. And Prometh is essentially something that tries to, it tries to basically deal with this issue by, verifying code that's on the network through a use of a network of nodes that basically they chunk up the code into little smaller bits of code that can get verified by all the different nodes on the network. And they'll basically fish and look for different, potential vulnerabilities or issues with code. And if there's any problems with them, then they'll basically send them back, basically to get reiterated, or essentially say there's a problem with this, you need to fix this before it can be released through their through Trias's network, which we think is a really, really interesting and strong layer to add to your network. Because this is obviously, you can already see that there's a big push by the Trias network here for legitimacy, in terms of, potentially having private transactions so you can have actual anonymity on the blockchain. Not to mention also looking for security of the dApps and stuff that are launched on the network, because it's pretty clear that they've got a big focus on trying to be legit here, which is, a very, very big deal in my opinion, because there has been so many problems recently with, you see a lot of rug pulls, a lot of, exploits on legit projects where, their code hasn't been vetted fully. And this is another way basically for, potentially code to be sorted out and vetted. And it's very interesting to me that this is possible, because this is going to save a lot of people a lot of money, and it's going to further legitimize the Trias network, really, because basically all the projects that will be launched on this network will have this background vetting that's basically built into the protocol, which is really, really interesting. And the code will be continuously verified as it continues to function and get updated. And if the project continues to get updated and grows, it will be constantly verified by the blockchain that it's actually built on, which is really, really interesting. And this could potentially, as we said, solve a lot of issues for people in the future. And then the final layer of the puzzle, as we said here, which allows for smart contracts to be built, interacting with other layers fluidly. So basically, we're talking about our privacy layer and our constant vetting verify layer of our code, basically allowing Trias to offer DSaaS or decentralized software as a service. But lots of people already know software as a service, like Salesforce, for example. It's already very popular with businesses, but this is basically the next layer, because it allows for that further anonymity because of the first layer of this protocol, that -1 anonymity layer. The scalability, obviously, of blockchain technology, and the ability of the speed and the ability of the network. And then obviously a trustless environment, so you don't have to rely on companies basically to be giving you these kinds of products. It's basically just a decentralized organization or a DAO that just runs it for you. And it's basically, everyone knows that this is the next step. But with Trias, obviously, it gives you a lot more. You can see there's quite clearly a lot of different layers to this that are very, very interesting. And there's quite a lot of stuff here. As I said, I've done a lot of research in the cryptocurrency space, and there's a lot of things here that I've honestly never even heard of or considered. And it's very, very clear that, Trias is offering some really, really interesting things here, which is why we're so interested in this project in general, basically why we decided to do this video about them. So the Trias token itself, obviously everyone wants to know what the token actually does, and it's not left out of the ecosystem. It's actually used in all layers to drive demand. So obviously it's used for transactions, and it's used for rewards for nodes, building the dApps. So basically every single thing that happens on the network, it requires the token itself. So there's obviously going to be a huge drive of demand there. There's going to be these big institutions that are going to require to buy a lot of Trias if they want to build on the network. And obviously if they're using the network in any great quantity, they're going to have a lot for transactions, etc. So it's driving a lot of demand for the token, because there's a lot of different sections of the network here that are actually using the token itself, which obviously drives demand, which is very bullish as well for the token. And then just one last little thing that we said to top off, the total supply is actually very low. I think it's got a very, very low total supply of tokens. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I think it's probably around 10 million tokens, which is very, very low. And the market cap, you'll have to verify about that, by the way. Don't take my word for it. Go and research this project for yourself, obviously. And its market cap is still very, very low. I think it's around 15 million. So, there's a massive amount of potential to grow. And I do strongly think that, this technology that I've basically been researching for the past few days to do this video for them, it's very, very interesting indeed. These kinds of this machine learning, for example, very, very interesting. This privacy, being able to basically swap tokens on any different protocols through the network fully anonymously. And then also the dApps that are being launched on this network, fully vetted code-wise before they're even released and continuously vetted by nodes. Not to mention, that just all of it coming together and all being offered as a single package. It does seem like a very, very strong prospect. So those are the fundamentals. They do sound very good. As we said, we'll include more information and more resources that we have found about the protocol in the description below if you're more interested in finding out more about it. So we're going to take a look at the technical analysis now, just to finish off, as we always do. And as you can see, Trias looking as though it's got a similar structure to most cryptocurrencies on the charts. You can see here, we've obviously got our range looking something like this. I guess you could say maybe, yeah, I guess I would probably say reasonably looking something like this. And you can see, obviously, 19th of May, we had the big correction. We come all the way down to around, what is this, $4? By the way, we dropped from an all-time high of around $32 here. So a top quality project up here, by the way. We come all the way down. We drop down from, what we're looking at here, $33, all the way down to around $4. That is an absolutely crazy drop of around 87% there. We come obviously we get the bounce to the upside, we get stuck under our EMAs, we flip bearish, we come all the way down, we basically bounced off the top of this $4-ish support for a long time, and then we get the fake out to the downside, we come all the way down to $2.50 from $32. That's absolutely crazy. But then obviously this fake out to the downside was short-lived for Bitcoin, having that big short squeeze, breaking to the upside, we come back above the 20, we come back above the back inside the range, we have a really nice break to the upside, we break through the 55, obviously, flip bullish on our EMAs here, we come all the way up to the upside, consolidate nicely, grind our way up to the upside to around, what is this, $11. We have a bit of a pullback to find support, we perfectly retest the 55, and then, we're just having a bit of, we could say we're going sideways realistically, aren't we? Looking something like this. Maybe we've got a little bit of a range going on here. But, it looks as though today we are basically rolling over, having a bit of a cooling off day, which is fine. Looking for support and short-term price predictions then. Short-term, if we do roll over more, we would expect the 20 to hold, maybe coming down to around, that 730-ish area, which would essentially be, the 55. And then if we do move to the upside, we're obviously firstly targeting the top of this mini range, coming in at around, almost $11. And then the next target would be around this $13.2 area. Let me just see how far this dropped. This is like 92% down. That is so crazy. This is a really, genuinely, this project sounds like it has a massive amount of potential. Otherwise, we wouldn't be covering it. And it does seem very likely, in my opinion, that this is going to do very, very well. And I mean, if we just take a look at the Fibonacci retracement for some price targets for the remainder of the bull run here, we could be looking at some very, very nice price targets indeed. You can see here, we're currently, let me just make sure this is fully correct. We're currently bouncing in and around this 0.5 retracement here. We've obviously got the 618 as we come up and up and up. But we would expect realistically with a project that is this small as well, that it can move very, very fast when it gets investment. And you can see if we do start to break this all-time high, we've got our next level at 127 here coming in at around $65, which would be around a 2x from the all-time high. We've got the 141 here coming in at around $90. The 161 coming in at around $155. And then if we do reach that 227, I mean, $820 from a current price of around $8 is around 100x, which is obviously, potentially possible. It remains to be seen whether or not this will be realistic, but stranger things have happened. And as we said, with really small projects like this, they can just completely explode if they do get some really, really good news or adoption, etc. And it does look as though Trias is a top quality project. So that's it, guys. We'd like to thank everyone so much for their support. If you've got any questions or suggestions, please leave them down below, and don't forget to subscribe and then hit the real subscribe button, which is the bell icon, to stay up to date with the 4 videos that we post every single day. Remember, if you want to support the channel more directly and get a ton of benefits and insight, as well as joining our growing community, consider the Patreon or YouTube membership down below. You can also sign up to our free Telegram via the description as well. All the links are in the description for affiliate links for discounts and free crypto, so go check them all out below. There's plenty of goodness on offer. Please like and subscribe. We are Crypto Maximalist.